Hi, Guy and Felicity. My name is Julianne Ferreira. I'm with CBS News Path. Thank you both for sitting down
Hi.
with me. First, I
Pleasure.
just want to say congratulations on the film, and I really enjoyed both of your performances so much.
Thank you.
You
Thank
both
you.
were incredible. But Felicity, I think I'm going to start with you. So I found your character really fascinating in that she was this really strong emotionally as a character, but physically weak and served as this huge support system for Laszlo. So how did it feel to play a character like this?
Well, when we first meet Elizabeth and she comes off the train, you realize that she's suffering from malnutrition after the war. The famine after the Second World War has had a massive impact on her physically. And in many ways, throughout the second half of the film, you see her strengthening physically. She's getting better nutrition. She's with this person that she loves very much. So there's an interesting trajectory physically for her. And then in contrast to that, in some ways, is that she's very consistent emotionally. She's someone who knows exactly who she is. She doesn't suffer fools, and she reads very quickly in that first scene with Van Buren and his family that there is an implied dynamic that they should have the authority and power based on their economic status, which she is not in any way prepared to conform with. And she's very much a defiant spirit in the film.
I really think that it came through as that as well. And I thought she was one of the most interesting characters because of that. And then, Guy, I'll ask you sort of a similar question, but your character is kind of seemingly doing good for Laszlo, but then we ultimately see this like darker side and how he tries to take over with this power that he has over Laszlo as an immigrant. So, what was it like playing that darker character?
Well, funnily enough, the darker side of Van Buren, I think, is something he is probably trying to keep pushed aside all the time. I think, he wants to be able to, he's very presentational. He wants to be able to present the sort of the charming star of the show and win everybody over because that gives him strength. That gives him a sense of identity and it gives him confidence and people seem to like him. And, so I think he's trying to operate in that kind of space all the time if he can. And, the vulnerable side of him and the, as you say, the darker side and the irritable side that doesn't feel he has a place in the world, if that surfaces for whatever reason, then it can be quite ugly. He can be explosive and he can feel out of control. And, I think coupled with that is this ability of his to recognize the finer things in life and to recognize art and to recognize sort of beauty. And he sees all of that in Laszlo. And Laszlo's a kind of a fascinating study because on some level, I think Van Buren's natural judgment is that because of where Laszlo's come from, because of what he's been through, because of his sort of status socio-economically, he should be someone who just acquiesces, but he actually exudes a great sense of confidence himself. And I think that's a great challenge for Van Buren because Van Buren doesn't naturally exude confidence. And I think that kind of it makes me more fascinated in him, but it also makes me want to control him and stop him. So there's a real double-edged sword going on. So it was a fascinating character to play and a really fascinating sort of dynamic to work with Adrian. And because Adrian's so good, obviously, and as is Felicity, these sort of strong characters that challenge Van Buren were great sort of grist for the mill, as they say, to work with. So yeah, it was lovely.
It definitely was an interesting dynamic to see that back and forth between the two. And then, really quick before we go, what do you ultimately hope that audiences take away from the film? Because there are a lot of themes that are explored throughout.
It feels the film has so many different facets. It's in many ways there is a study of the struggle of survival, and it's not just surviving physically, but how do you survive with your dreams and your principles and your beliefs intact, and how that can be very difficult thing to do. So I feel that's such a strong through line of the entire film.
Yeah, and I think that I think the imbalance of our lives, it's just as sort of palpable and present today as it's ever been, where there are those who have and there are those who have not, and this idea of kind of having compassion for each other and trying to sort of help each other through is questioned in the movie. So I would assume people hopefully have a bit of a look at themselves in regard to that as well, or at least feel that that's a palpable part of our sort of telling. So I think the film works on so many levels, as Felicity says. So yeah, hopefully, and I'm sure really, people take away individual things from a film. It's hard to sort of say on a broad level what you might want, I think.
Thank you so much. I definitely feel like I took away a lot of emotion and feeling for these characters, and I wish you luck with both of these characters as you take them and promote the film, and good luck with everything. I
Thank you
think
very
we'll
much.
get nominated.
Thank
So
you.
Cheers.
thank you.
Thanks
Good to
very
talk to you.
much.